Hi guys, it's Miss Aisling. Today we're going to be making soda bread because it's going to be St. Patrick's Day on the 17th of March, and soda bread is a traditional Irish bread recipe that we usually eat then. So how do we make it? Let's see. So first things first, we need to wash our hands, wash the surface that we're using, and tie up our hair. And then we need to preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Part of the appeal of Irish soda bread is its simplicity. So it contains only 5 ingredients. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first ingredient is 170 grams of plain flour. Next we have 170 grams of self-raising wholemeal flour. Then we have half a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda or baking soda, and then we have 290 milliliters of buttermilk. Now, buttermilk isn't that easy to come by in Hong Kong, so what you can do is for every cup of milk you have, add a teaspoon of either vinegar or lemon to sour the milk, because buttermilk is literally the milk that's taken off the top of milk after it has been pumped from a cow. So now all that's left is to mix all these ingredients into this bigger green bowl. So first we need to put in all the dry ingredients. So we put in the plain flour, the plain white flour, we put in the self-raising wholemeal flour, and we put in the salt and the bicarbonate soda. Though the recipe doesn't really call for it, I like to then give it a quick mix. So I usually just mix it up with a fork because we'll need this fork anyway when we start to slowly add in the milk. So I like to just mix it all up before we add the milk. And then you make a well, that's what they call it, in the center. So in the center of the bowl, you make a bit of a hole so that you can pour the milk into it and then gradually start to add the flour into the milk that we're going to pour in. So make a little hole down here. Yes, that's rather hard to see, but from where I'm standing, a lot of the flour is up on the sides, and then down the bottom there's a bit of the flour. So then we start to add in the buttermilk. You see, it's just a slightly thicker texture than milk. And then we start to slowly mix in the flour with the milk. Well, the flour, the salt, and the bicarbonate soda, all of the dry ingredients. And then start to mix it in until it forms a dough, rather like that which we make at school with Play-Doh. So we mix, 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 mix. The resulting dough will look something like this, and it should feel like an okay texture, like a bit of a sticky consistency. If it is still very stiff, meaning that you're not going to be able to mold it with your hands, then do feel free to add some more milk. Or likewise, if it is too wet and you feel like you're not going to be able to mold it properly, then add some more flour. So this sounds about right. See, it's neither too wet nor too dry, so it's time to tip it up onto a floured surface. So we have our floured surface, and I'm going to tip out the dough onto the floured surface. I have removed my rings and my watch and my bracelets because this tends to get a bit sticky, and you don't really want bread stuck in your finger, in between your fingers and your rings. So for this part, I also like to put a bit of flour on my hands, and then you just start to knead the bread. So knead means to mix it until, so it's right now it's a bit sticky. See, it's a bit sticking to my hand. So we're going to knead it until it no longer does that, until it's nice and forms into a nice little roundel or a circle for us. So I'm going to knead that away there, and I'll come back when it's already all kneaded in to show you what it looks like. So you can just press and punch and push. Now that really took no time at all. So now you can see it's in a nice little round. So it's like quite floury. So if we put it around and around into a ball and then squeeze it down into a smaller roundel, that's generally a better way to do it. So that's what I'll do now. Okay, so you can see it's round, not very big, but the size of my hand. And then we cut across in the top of it. So we press down one line and we press down the other. This is for two purposes. The first is for religious purposes. Ireland is a very Christian country, so the symbol of the cross is one that's very important. But also, the other purpose it serves is that once the bread is baked, you can cut it into quarters easily by breaking along the cross. Now that the bread is already mixed together and the cross is cut into the top of it, the next thing is to put it onto the oven. So you can put it onto a baking sheet on a baking tray, or you can put it onto a baking sheet on a wire rack and then put it into the oven, where it stays at its 200 degrees temperature for about 30 minutes. So here it is on the oven rack, ready to go into the oven, like I said, for 30 minutes. And now that the bread is in the oven, remember guys, a key part of cooking is also cleaning up. So you can clean up the floured surface, clean the bowls that we use for cooking, and get ready to eat some tasty soda bread. So after 30 minutes, when you take it out of the oven, this is what it looks like. As you can see, there's still some flour on the side. And if you tap the bread, it sounds hollow. I tried to do it on the video, but the sound doesn't really come across. But if you try it with the one that you make, then I'm sure you'll hear it. It sounds hollow, almost like a drum. And that's how you know that it's ready. So, happy eating, you guys, and lá éile pádraig. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.